Na, keiner drauf gekommen? Hauptsache der Chat funktioniert noch. Vielleicht habt ihr alle gerade die Lösung geschrieben, der Chat spinnt. If there's a way to get cocoons out of there, you'd sure like to know. Well, I can tell you, it's a fucking guitar. Actually, there's one way. Wir sind einfach nur dumm, okay. What? One way to get something out of the country, no checks.
What is it?
You become a prosecutor.
A prosecutor?
I don't believe it. Believe it, Prosecutor Gavin. What was it that you told me yesterday at your office? It was a beautiful instrument. It was played lovingly for many years. A guitar befitting a woman like Lamerois. How did it end up here? Well, I mentioned how much I enjoyed playing it that night, and she made a present of it. So this guitar is from Virginia? That it is. We couldn't carry it on the plane. Changes in air pressure and humidity ruined the wood. So we vacuum packed it in Lamerois' studio. I used a special shipping service available to me for transporting evidence. They brought it right up to my office for me. Pristine and untouched. Did I get that right, Prosecutor Gavin? Untouched? Quite. The guitar was wrapped in several sheets and vacuum packed in Virginia. The pack was untouched until the day of the concert. Are you saying that guitar was... With cocoons this small, it would have been very easy to use your guitar as a mule to smuggle a cocoon out of Virginia. What? Which reminds me, Prosecutor Gavin, that guitar had some work done on it recently, right? Work? Good memory, Herr Forehead. Well, you know how guitars have a round hole in the front? It is called the sound hole. Well, they found something attached to the wood just inside the hole. A broken device of some sort. A broken device? Yes, this, in fact.
An igniter.
Exactly. Consider this if you will. What if that igniter wasn't the only thing that was attached inside your guitar? You mean... He means this, of course. There was a way to get a cocoon out of the country. They could use Piggy Prosecutor Gavin's privileged guitar as a mule. And who better to do that than someone with access? Like a member of the band. Aber hat er nicht gesagt, er wäre nie außerhalb Japans gewesen? Aber er hat nur gesagt, er hätte nie Fälle gehabt, die außerhalb Japans gewesen sind.
Order. So the igniter
Was placed in there for a clear reason, it seems. It was a safety precaution.
A precaution?
Ah, her forehead. At last it all comes together. Every strange thing that happened that day. Care to review? Maestro, the gentle sounds of Lamerois' ballad, if you please. Never left the country. Ich meine, er könnte natürlich auch das gelogen haben. First Machis were stolen, harmless Mr. Also, Gavin könnte vielleicht gedacht haben, dass er nie das Land verlassen hat, aber in Wahrheit war er heimlich auch irgendwie da. Weiß auch nicht. First Machis were stolen, harmless misdemeanor, which forced me to break the lock on my guitar case. The key was stolen to retrieve the cocoon from the guitar.
I see.
But things didn't go so well. The smuggler wasn't counting on the guitar being wrapped. Only a member of the band could get near that case. Unwrapping the guitar would raise too many suspicions. Then the concert began, right about this time. A very large problem presented itself to the smuggler.
What's that?
Mr. Latouche. Mr. Latouche, an undercover agent, was onto something. He would have known about the guitar. He'd only have to check the shipping records. So Mr. Latouche tried to examine the guitar himself. If the cocoon were confiscated then, the gig would be up. The only thing left for the smuggler to do was to get rid of the whole lot. Let's overpress the switch now. The guitar burst into flames and the cocoon was lost. And then Mr. Latouche died, with Lamerois there to witness it. There's your case. Brilliant, man.
Detective Crescent, I gotta know you make all that up on the fly.
For a made-up story, it makes a great deal of sense, Darian.
The Republic of Virginia. Sorry, man, but I haven't even been there.
True, you haven't. Machi war das vielleicht.
Let's see you make up a story for that kid. How'd I hide the cocoon in the first place, huh?
It's not so hard to imagine. You had help. A Virginian accomplice. Ich wollte vorhin schon mal sagen, ob es vielleicht Machi war. That's all. Weil der hat doch auch so komisch auf das Ding reagiert, als wir ihm das mal gezeigt haben und gemeint haben, ob er vielleicht ein Schmuggler ist. That you had an accomplice was clear from the start. The voice Lameroa heard proves it. It's overpressed the switch. Und der Switch wurde doch in Machis Klavier gefunden. You made this transmission from backstage, while your co-conspirator was on stage.
But who was it?
Und Machi hat ja auch gesagt, er kann nie wieder zurück nach Hause. This is it, the coup de grace. And for once I know what I'm doing. Was heißt mir for once? There's only one person who could have helped him.
Let's hear what Mr. Justice has to say then, but be warned. With a great accusation comes great responsibility. Make up your answer on the fly, as it were, and you'll be harshly penalized. Are you ready, Mr. Justice? Who was the smuggler's accomplice?
Ich hätte so gerne den Judge ausgewählt. Ja, ich habe auch erst gedacht, das mit dem Klavier wäre ein Setup, weil das hätte halt auch gut als Setup gepasst, ne? Weil das Machi ja eh in die Schuhe schieben wollen. Aber es ist natürlich witzig, dass es jetzt tatsächlich im Klavier war, weil Machi das Ding gedrückt hat. Jetzt ging der Text wieder automatisch weiter. There's only one person who meets all the requirements of the accomplice, and that person is the defendant, Machi Tobaye.
But Mr. Justice, he's your client.
Dann kommt er wahrscheinlich am Ende doch noch in den Knast. Aber zumindest nicht wegen Mord.
A defense attorney accusing his client, that's a new one.
I assure you, no one is more unhappy about this than I, but I am here to defend him in the murder of Mr. Latouche, and I stand by my statement earlier that he is innocent of that particular crime.
Indeed, the defendant is Virginia. He does meet the basic requirements to be the accomplice. But what if it was in fact Lamerois?
It couldn't have been.
Well, you seem sure of yourself.
The reason is electronic signal, Your Honor.
Electronic signals?
Recall that this remote only works to a range of 30 feet. Beyond that, it's useless.
Yes, that's true.
Now think back to the testimony. When the shooter made his transmission, Lamerois was in the air vent, right above the dressing room where the shooter stood. Let's look at the stage diagram. This is the area that the remote could reach from the air vent. Aber die Gitarre war ja weiter oben. Ich habe auch schon vorhin gedacht, ja gut, aber wenn wir ihn jetzt was schmuggelt, beweisen, dass er das geschmuggelt hat, verurteilen wir ihn ja gewissermaßen auch zu Tode. In seinem Heimatland. Er wird da wohl einfach nie wieder hingehen können.
Well, looking at this, it seems that Lamerois still could have done the deed.
No. When the shooter made that transmission, the stage was slightly different than shown here. Es war nämlich raised, ihr wisst schon. It was in the middle of the guitar serenade. Part of the stage was raised. Prosecutor Gavin and the Lamerois stand-in were in the air. They were on a tower which happens to be 15 feet tall. In other words, the remote couldn't have worked from Lamerois' position in the air vent. Well, Detective Crescent, what do you say to that?
Your Honor. Yes, Detective.
Can we see the video where Gavin's guitar burns? Just one more time.
Well, I don't see why not.
What? Don't tell me he has a way out of this. Too bad, so sad, punk. Punk? First you were sleeves, then kid, now punk. You're losing rank fast, Apollo.
What exactly were we supposed to see in this video?
The problem isn't in what we see. Das Problem ist, dass wir es nicht sehen. Die Gitarre hat ja viel später angefangen zu brennen. Correct, Darian. Right, it's what you hear. We are musicians after all. After all. Okay, doch falsch gedacht. Care to explain for us non-musicians?
Sure thing, punk. Let me get your yarn straight first.
You're saying I ordered the wee pianist to set up that igniter? That right? Yes. Ach so, weil wir das Klavier noch hören, oder wie? Well, in order to do that, you have to press the switch. Am I right? Okay. Well, take another listen. Pay attention to the piano. Piano. Ja, Pianotaste. Kann ja nicht sein. Ich meine, das hatte ja einen richtigen Switch. Wobei doch, per Pianotaste, wenn er das da reinklemmt, irgendwo wo ein Hammer ist oder so. Also da sind ja so Hammer in einem Klavier. Vielleicht hat er irgendeine Taste gehabt, irgendeine Note gehabt, die nicht zu der Tonart gehört, in der sie spielen. Wobei sie bei dem Song ja irgendwie durch 7 Milliarden Tonarten wechseln. Vielleicht hat er sich irgendeine Taste, wobei die nicht dazu gehört, wäre ja doof, dann würde das ja voll auffallen. Aber der hat bestimmt irgendeine Taste tatsächlich gehabt, ihr habt recht. Der hatte sicher irgendeine Taste, wo das Ding vor dem Hammer lag und wenn er die drückt, dann wird der Switch gedrückt.
What seems to be the problem there?
Das heißt, dass er nicht aufhört zu spielen, ist kein Beweis.
The piano's on it just fine.
And that's the problem, man. You still don't get it. Yeah, how is he supposed to hit that switch if he's playing? You've got Miss Diva, the guitar, the bass, the piano and the drums. Oh, stimmt, wenn er nicht anschlägt, kommt ja eh kein Ton. The only one with her hands free was the Diva. La miroir. But according to you, she couldn't have been the accomplice, could she? Your accomplice would have had a hard time helping out if they couldn't even press a switch. The piano plays non-stop. He couldn't have pressed that switch.
Well, Mr. Justice, the piano does seem to be playing when the guitar catches fire.
Well, it's okay. We all make mistakes sometimes. Apollo, were you wrong? I can't be wrong. Everything makes perfect sense. How could it all just... Strange. What's strange? No, it's just... Something's odd about the performance there. Odd?
Mr. Justice, if Machis didn't press that switch, then he could not be the accomplice you claim he is.
But everything points to it. Every fact says he's the accomplice.
You got the facts wrong, man. Here are some facts for you. Gavin's guitar is on fire, but the pianist didn't press that switch. In other words, your story is full of holes. Mr. Justice, let's hear your final opinion on this matter now. Was the defendant Machis the accomplice? Your answer will reflect on everything you've said here. Give it some thought.
Apollo, if Machis is not the accomplice, then our whole case is ruined. I know that. It has to be him. He was the only one who could have helped the smuggler. He had to have pressed that switch. Well, you'd better find a way to prove it. Jetzt muss er hier irgendwo gewesen sein. Ein Ton klingt so ein bisschen dumpf. Oder?
What do I do? What do I do? There has to be something that doesn't fit. Something odd.
Something odd. Wait a second.
What? You thought of something?
What was Gavin saying just now? Strange. What's strange? No, it's just something's odd about the performance there. It's not much to go on, but it's all I've got. What exactly did you hear that was odd? Ich weiß nicht.
If you come up with something, Mr. Justice,
Ich habe jetzt nichts gehört.
I am reminded that everything rests on this. Can you prove Machi told me I pressed that switch? Let's hear your final answer. Can you prove?
I can prove it. I don't know if you can always prove per se, but I can prove it was possible.
Then, as prosecutor, it falls to me to ask you to show us evidence supporting this.
Herr Forehead, you sure about this?
I accept it. There's no evidence, man.
What do you base your claim the defendant pressed that switch? Ich würde sagen, das Ding. Auch wenn ich immer noch nicht weiß, wo genau. The basis for my claim is music, Your Honor.
Music? What about music?
Let's listen to the piano part around the time when the switch was to be pressed, right before the guitar burst into flame.
Ich höre nix. I hear a piano being played.
But doesn't it sound kind of simple? Ja gut, das habe ich vorhin gedacht, aber ich dachte, das habe ich vorhin tatsächlich mal gedacht, aber ich dachte, das müsste einfach an der Stelle so, wäre nicht wirklich ein Beweis. Also es klingt tatsächlich so, als würde er da viel weniger spielen als ansonsten. Aber ich war jetzt so versteift darauf, dass er das Ding irgendwie vor so einen Hammer gelegt hat, dass ich das fast zu simpel fand, dass er einfach nur mit einer Hand spielt.
Simple?
Oh, I think I know what he's suggesting. You think Machi could have played that part with one hand?
One hand?
He only needed one hand to press that switch. He could play the piano with the other.
What, so you some kind of piano savant?
Actually, no.
And what do you know? What do you know? You can't play a part like that with one hand.
Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about here. Wait, I know. Hey, Truthy.
Yeah, you got something?
Mr. Wright, your father, he's a pianist. Could he...
Oh, Daddy? He couldn't play a part like that even if he had three hands. So sorry, so sad for you.
No, not really.
But, huh?
That was just the easy way to prove it. There's always the hard way.
Man, how are you going to prove whether he played it with one hand or two? You can't.
I admit it will be rather difficult to prove, but it's highly likely he was playing with one hand.
How do you know that?
The clue is what Prosecutor Gavin described as sounding odd. What sounded odd? I'll bet we can tell by listening to a certain part of the song.
No way. Well, it seems we've come to the moment of truth at last. Let's hear what Mr. Justice has to say for himself. Show us the part that proves the defendant was playing with one hand, right before the guitar burst into flame.
Machi was definitely playing one-handed just before the guitar caught fire, and one section of the song proves it. Echt? Was wollt ihr denn jetzt von mir?
It's the section. I'm afraid I don't hear it. What's your opinion as an artist, Prosecutor Gavin?
It's a beautiful song, and the lyrics are outstanding.
I take that to mean there isn't a problem with the section at all.
Ja, habe ich auch schon überlegt, aber wird das nochmal gespielt? Ich habe gerade erst überlegt, vielleicht muss ich die Stelle mit einer anderen vergleichen, wo er dasselbe spielt, nur halt zweihändig. Aber ich habe dann das gehört und dann das und gedacht, so eine gibt's bestimmt nicht. Oh, ist das dasselbe wie das? Nee. Oh, hier kommt nochmal dasselbe.
That's the section.
Auch nicht. Nee, das klang auch irgendwie immer noch gleich. Okay, da bin ich jetzt so blöd für, obwohl ich mich mit Klavierspielen ja eigentlich ein bisschen auskennen sollte. Präsentiere ich halt alle. Prosecutor Gavin, I'm sure you've realized by now just what it was that sounded odd to you. As I'm sure you've realized it yourself before, Ed.
Realized what?
I'll demonstrate. Let's listen to the part in question again, shall we? Pay particular attention to the but a fleeting melody phrase. Irgendwann hat er das nochmal gespielt und da kam oben noch so eine Melodie da drüber. Man, how many times do we have to listen to the same thing? Weiß nicht, ob Sie das jetzt meinen. You're right, enough of that. Let's listen to another section, shall we?
Another section?
The guitar bursts into flame at the end of the second verse. Let's listen to the same spot in the first verse. Höre komische Sachen. Pay attention to Oh That Night in Your Embrace.
Play verse 2 again.
There, did you hear that? Ja gut, jetzt weiß ich, was Sie meinen.
They feel the same, true, but they're clearly very different.
What? Well put, Your Honor. The phrase in verse 2 is quite simple, but the same phrase in verse 1 has high and low notes. Ich meine, das hätte ja auch Absicht sein können. You'd have to use two hands to play that for sure.
What's that proof?
I would think you'd know that by now.
This is why I hate dealing with amateurs, man. So the two verses, different arrangements happens all the time.
Not this time, Darian. There's no point in changing an arrangement if you can't hear it clearly. And that wasn't the point. I had him play specifically so that the piano would stay in the background. That was what I noticed. Why should the same phrase sound slightly different? I asked myself. Now ask yourselves why Machis changed how he played, and there's only one answer. He needed a free hand in order to press the switch.
Order, order, order. I believe this ties all the facts together. Well, Prosecutor Gavin.
Yes, quite. Though, personally, this comes as a terrible disappointment. What, no comeback? I can't believe it. I finally did it. I shut him up.
Very well. Barring an objection from the prosecution, I will now state the court's opinion on this matter. Good show, Sleeves. No, great show.
It's not over? I don't like it when he looks so happy.
You tell him, Gavin. Tell him what's so disappointing.
Personally, I'm terribly disappointed. And you have forehead.
Huh? Me?
Yes, don't get me wrong, your case is solid. The facts all check out, but even now, you have yet to show us a single piece of decisive evidence.
Yeah, but the facts, anyone could see it was him.
Unfortunately, anyone does not include the law. I'm afraid your case doesn't cut it.
But,
1,000 facts might point toward the same conclusion, but without decisive evidence, it's not proof. That's the rule under our current legal system.
I don't believe it.
It does not seem as though the defense has any more evidence to present.
oh, I think if we did, we already would have seen it a long ways back.
It is unfortunate, but at present this court is unable to acknowledge your accusation.
What?
The truth is staring us all right in the face.
Why can't they see it? What's the point of a legal system that protects criminals?
Apollo, remember what Daddy said.
It won't be easy proving he did it, especially not under the current court system. So what do? Like I said, good luck. And be aware that it will be impossible to prove his guilt by conventional methods. Every man has an igniter inside him. Find Darian Crescent's igniter and set it off.
I wonder what he meant by every man's igniter.
I think he just meant a weak spot, no? The kind of thing that a single spark could turn into a wildfire of emotion. I won't be able to press him further by conventional means. I've got to find a weak spot in this guy, something fatal.
So, can I get back to work now or what? I may look like I got a lot of time on my hands, but I got no more time to play pretend with this dead-weight attorney.
Well, Mr. Justice, we've come this far without decisive evidence. This witness won't be coming back to the stand once we let him go.
Every man has an igniter.
Huh? Didn't you say the better the guitar, the brighter it burns, Prosecutor Gavin?
Yes, good guitars are kept dry as why. Jetzt habe ich Apollo falsch gesprochen. That provides the best sound. Even a small spark could cause irreparable damage. Your plan has an igniter in it too, Detective. It was there from the very beginning.
What?
Fight in time, Justice. If you blow this one, he'll be out of your hands for good.
Go for it, Apollo. What, and this igniter is supposed to come burn me up? That's almost poetic there, Mr. Attorney.
All the better. I'm rather fond of poetry, and I intend to hear this one through to the very end. Herr Forehead, you are accusing this man, Darian Crescent, of 2 crimes, the murder of Mr. Latouche and the smuggling of a Borginian cocoon. This is your last chance to prove your case.
Ja, aber wie denn? The trial has already run on for far too long. Mr. Justice, this will be my last warning. The moment this igniter of yours turns out to be a dud is the moment this cross-examination ends. Understood?
Yes, Your Honor.
Then let's have it. Show us the basis for these accusations against Darian Crescent.
Okay, this is really my last chance. The key that will take apart Darian Crescent's plan is that I saved the game right here, because I actually have no idea. Ja, aber Evidence habe er jetzt nicht wirklich noch. Vielleicht können wir den Chief Justice als Witness beschwören. Your igniter isn't a piece of evidence.
So what is it?
It is true that I couldn't show decisive evidence, but perhaps what I needed to prove my case was something else.
You mean a witness?
Proving his guilt is a tall order, but I've got just the person to do it.
Very well, Mr. Justice. Who is this person who can prove Darian Crescent's guilt?
Ich weiß es immer noch nicht. Vielleicht Machis? The one person who can prove Darian Crescent's guilt is the defendant, Machis Tobaye.
Your client again?
Machi Tobaya was an accomplice to the cocoon smuggling plot. Without him, Darian Crescent could not have gotten the cocoon. Furthermore, he can easily prove that the one who plotted to smuggle that cocoon is the real criminal in this case.
How so?
It would require just one of the very cocoons Mr. Latouche was looking for. With the cooperation of the Republic of Virginia, we could burn a cocoon. The burnt cocoon would leave a particular residue. A residue we would, no doubt, also find inside the burnt-out guitar.
Aha, very scientific of you.
Thus, if Machi Tobaya acknowledges his agreement with Darian Crescent concerning the attempted smuggling of a Virginian cocoon, the case is solved. Darian's laughing again. Your unrelenting passion is remarkable. You really want to get me, don't you? Too bad you'll never be able to. Why not? The little key tickler won't acknowledge anything, especially not anything to do with cocoon smuggling.
What is this all about?
Taking a cocoon out of the country means death. By Virginian law.
Yeah, see, if our pianist really was a smuggler, then testifying about it would be suicide. Believe me, he's not talking.
But you're wrong, Detective Crescent.
What?
It's the other way around. If Machi doesn't admit to smuggling here, he's in deep trouble.
Huh? How?
Look, if Machi admits to smuggling here, then he'll be tried in our courts by our laws. You don't get the death penalty for smuggling in our country. The victim in this case was an undercover Interpol agent. I'm sure that news has already reached Virginia, and they'll likely broadcast our dealings in court today, including the part about the Virginian cocoon.
Yeah, but...
But if Machi doesn't admit to smuggling now, he'll eventually be picked up by the Virginian police. And it's not like he's in any danger in our court. We're not going to find him guilty of murder here, not now.
Yeah, but you can't do this. You can't accuse me.
Maybe the law doesn't allow it, but who's going to think you're really innocent after hearing this trial? The same goes for Machi Tobaya. The cocoon smuggling, your entire plan. Machi Tobaya knows everything. There's only one way out of it for him, and that's to acknowledge his own crime, the crime of cocoon smuggling.
Don't worry there. I'll get you out of the country. I'll set you up someplace, a hidden mansion, real nice. You want a house made out of cookies? Oh no, a house made out of pianos? Come on. Please. Don't talk.
Darian, I consider that my last session with you, we rocked.
I'm guessing we can treat that outburst as a confession. Oh, he's laughing again. There's a kind of sick desperation in it now, though.
Well, have you been listening to today's trial?
Yes.
And you'll talk. You tell this court everything.
I didn't want it to turn out this way, but I'm not the kind of lawyer that can overlook a crime.
Today's trial was all for your benefit, you know. I see no reason why you should hesitate now.
I knew from beginning, I knew.
Machi,
Situation I cannot explain, but money I needed. Very much money.
Today's trial raises a delicate issue with our legal system. The only thing definite in a court of law is evidence. This is the golden rule. However,
it has become apparent that not all things can be tried by this standard.
Should another case of this sort surface, we may have to consider an alternate system by which to administer justice. Anyway, Mr. Machi Tobaya,
Yes.
I promise you will receive a fair trial by the laws of our country. And with regards to the current charges for the murder of Mr. Latouche,
Very much money. Sehe ich gerade erst. I needed very much money.
this court is prepared to announce a verdict.
Oh, hat die Brille abgenommen. I thank you. I only lie, but you see truth. You find truth.
It's our job. Very well. This court finds the defendant, Machis Tobaye, super guilty. I mean, not guilty.
Sehe ich da immer very much money und muss die ganze Zeit lachen.
Court is adjourned.
4:42 p.m. Mann, das war eine richtig lange Session hier.
I wonder what'll happen to Machis.
Well, he did smuggle a cocoon out of Virginia. I guess there'll be another trial here. All's well that ends well. Ich wusste doch, dass das wieder ist.
Daddy! I owe you both my thanks.
What?
Why, is something wrong?
I'm sorry, Machis was your partner on stage, your friend.
Yes, I thought of him as my own son. Even now I do, yet something got a hold of him, something evil. I see that. And he must pay for what he has done. Is that not how it should be?
I'm still sorry.
Do not be sorry. You have given me courage.
Courage?
I am considering an eye operation.
That was my suggestion, actually. Not that I have the money for it, but der wird morgen ausgeliefert. Ist so tot.
You mean you'll be able to see again? It's fun. I have always been afraid of the light. Light seems so harsh, so unforgiving.
According to the doctor, Lameroy lost her sight due to some kind of accident. An accident?
As you know, I suffer from amnesia. I feared that if I could see, perhaps it would open my eyes to the truth I've been running from. I was scared.
You know what would change her mind? Hearing your defense in there today. She could feel your gaze, unwavering, always looking straight at the truth. Ja, das solltest du vielleicht auch mal wieder machen, statt als Hobo-Phoenix durch die Gegend zu laufen.
If the light returns to my eyes, I think I will take up painting.
Painting?
That's right. She is the landscape painter in sound, after all. I will paint the two of you. I promise. Woohoo! I can't wait, Lameroy.
Und dann sind ihre Bilder einfach sau scheiße und sehen unglaublich kacke aus. I owe you my thanks too, Apollo. Thanks for thanking me, Mr. Wright, but for what?
You reminded me I need to hurry things along.
On my secret mission, that is. Right, your secret mission.
Apollo, truly, I hope that we will meet again someday soon.
You bet, me too. Like ballad, the trial flowed on and on until it came to the end. Thanks to the trial, the guitar serenade was a huge hit. Prosecutor Gavin's even more dazzling to look at now. But there's something I want to say to that guy. Next time you write a ballad, have them catch the killer at the end. Blauen Toilettensitz. Ich habe einen super lauten Toilettensitz knallen hören und dann höre ich irgendwo aus der Ferne Aiden rufen, Entschuldigung. Aber apropos Toilette, da muss ich auch nochmal eben schnell hinlaufen. Und dann fangen wir jetzt schon mit dem finalen Fall an. Cool. Wir haben sogar noch eine Stunde.